Timeless life philosophies.
Anxiety, as an emotion, tends to get a bad rap. But what if I told you that it might be one of the most important driving forces for your personal growth? When you think about it, there's one name that stands out in philosophy when it comes to understanding this deeper kind of anxiety, Søren Kierkegaard. This Danish philosopher, born in 1813, was fascinated by the complexity of human existence, and he spent a lot of time thinking about the things that make life feel so heavy. Kierkegaard was a unique figure because, unlike many other philosophers of his time, he wasn't interested in abstract ideas disconnected from reality. He was concerned with life as we live it, full of uncertainty, challenges, and, yes, anxiety. Kierkegaard believed that anxiety was more than just an unpleasant feeling. He saw it as something fundamentally tied to the human experience. It's not just about feeling nervous before a big decision. It's about realizing how uncertain life is and how much responsibility we hold in shaping our own destiny. This is a kind of existential anxiety that we all experience, even if we don't recognize it as such. But rather than shy away from it, Kierkegaard invites us to dive deep into that anxiety and see it as a tool for growth. The nature of anxiety. Have you ever felt that gnawing sensation in the pit of your stomach when you're facing a big decision? That sensation is anxiety, but not the kind you see in medical textbooks. It's the existential anxiety that Kierkegaard was fascinated by, something he called angst. Unlike the anxiety that might come from worrying about a job interview or a looming deadline, existential anxiety is more about the realization that life itself is unpredictable. It's what you feel when you suddenly understand just how vast and uncertain the world around you is. We live in a world full of possibilities, but with those possibilities come dilemmas and tough choices. That overwhelming sense of freedom and the unknown can create a sense of anxiety that's hard to shake. It's the same feeling you get when you realize that no matter what choices you make, there will always be more unknowns ahead. It's kind of like staring out into the open ocean, beautiful, expansive, but also a bit terrifying because you don't know what's beneath the surface. Kierkegaard saw this anxiety not as a weakness, but as a fundamental part of being human. It's what happens when we come face to face with our freedom and the endless possibilities that life offers us. Why do we feel this way? You might wonder, why does this existential anxiety even exist? What's its purpose? Kierkegaard had an interesting perspective on this. He believed that we feel anxiety because we are self-aware. As conscious beings, we're aware that our choices have weight, that our actions have consequences, and that the future is always uncertain. This self-awareness makes us long for stability and security, but life isn't designed to give us those things easily. We want a roadmap, a guarantee that everything will turn out okay, but life doesn't offer that. Instead, we get freedom to make our own choices and to create our own path. This freedom, however, comes with a cost. It creates anxiety because we know we're responsible for shaping our lives, and yet we don't have all the answers. Imagine standing in front of a buffet with endless choices. It sounds great at first, but after a while, the pressure of making the right choice becomes overwhelming. That's life, an open buffet of options with no clear directions. Kierkegaard called this the dizziness of freedom. It's the realization that we have the freedom to do anything, but no certainty about what the outcome will be. Freedom and responsibility. Freedom can be thrilling, but it's also a heavy burden. Kierkegaard recognized that with freedom comes a profound sense of responsibility. Every choice we make, every path we take, is ultimately on us. And this awareness can evoke deep anxiety because we know that our decisions shape our lives, yet we can't predict the future. It's like standing at a crossroads with countless paths in front of you, knowing that each decision will have consequences, but not knowing where each road will lead. That's the weight of responsibility that comes with freedom. This is where the anxiety kicks in. We feel overwhelmed by the sheer number of decisions we have to make, from the small daily choices to the major life-changing ones. We hope that our decisions will lead to happiness or success, but the truth is, there's no guarantee. And that's scary. But here's the thing, Kierkegaard didn't see this as a bad thing. He believed that this anxiety, this overwhelming sense of responsibility, is actually what pushes us to grow. Without it, we would never really confront the big questions in life or push ourselves to take risks. Freedom, with all its uncertainty, is what makes life rich and meaningful. Anxiety as a tool for growth. So what if we looked at anxiety differently? What if, instead of seeing it as something to avoid, we saw it as a tool for growth? Kierkegaard believed that anxiety plays a crucial role in our personal development. Think about it. When do you feel most anxious? It's usually when you're about to make an important decision or take a significant step forward in life. Anxiety is like a flashing signal, telling you that something important is happening, that you're on the verge of change. Kierkegaard saw anxiety as a kind of internal compass. It points us toward the areas of our lives where we need to grow. Imagine you're about to start a new job, move to a new city, or enter a new relationship. That tight feeling in your chest, that nervousness, is anxiety, but it's also a sign that you're stepping into something new, something that could help you grow as a person. If we'd never felt anxious, we'd never leave our comfort zones. We'd stay in the same place, doing the same things, and we'd never really evolve. Anxiety, in this sense, is a driving force. It pushes us to confront challenges and make changes that lead to personal growth. Passion, the key to navigating anxiety. So, how do we deal with this anxiety? How do we turn it into something that helps us grow rather than something that holds us back? Kierkegaard had an answer for that too. Passion, according to Kierkegaard, is the key to navigating through anxiety. When you're passionate about something, when you feel deeply connected to it, that anxiety becomes more manageable. It doesn't go away, but it becomes something you can work with rather than something that paralyzes you. But here's the catch. Your passion has to be authentic. It has to be rooted in what Kierkegaard called subjective truth. That means it has to resonate with you, not with what society says you should care about. It's not about external success or validation. It's about finding what makes your heart beat a little faster, what makes you feel alive. Whether it's a career, a hobby, a relationship, or a personal goal, your passion is what gives your life meaning. And when you find that passion, the anxiety you feel about the uncertainties in life becomes easier to bear. It doesn't disappear, but it becomes something you can channel into action. The leap of faith. Now, finding your passion is one thing, but acting on it is another. That's where Kierkegaard's idea of the leap of faith comes in. Once you've discovered what really matters to you, you have to take that leap. You have to trust yourself enough to act on it, even if the path ahead isn't clear. Think of it like standing on the edge of a cliff, knowing you want to jump, but not knowing what's below. It's terrifying, right? But at some point, you have to jump. You have to trust that you'll figure it out as you go. That's what Kierkegaard meant by the leap of faith. It's not about having all the answers or knowing exactly what's going to happen. It's about trusting your passion, trusting your gut, and taking action despite the uncertainty. In a way, it's about embracing the anxiety rather than running from it. Because at the end of the day, life is full of unknowns, and waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect plan means you'll be waiting forever. Sometimes, you just have to leap and have faith that the net will appear. Anxiety is a driving force. Here's the thing about anxiety. If we don't confront it, it controls us. We become stuck, unable to move forward because we're so afraid of making the wrong choice. Kierkegaard recognized this. He understood that anxiety, left unchecked, can be paralyzing. It can trap us in a cycle of hesitation and fear, making us afraid to take action. But he also believed that anxiety, when faced head-on, could become a powerful driving force. It's like a storm. It can either destroy everything in its path, or it can clear the way for new growth. When we face our anxieties, when we acknowledge the fear and discomfort, we take back control. We stop letting anxiety dictate our choices and start making decisions based on what we really want. Sure, the fear doesn't completely go away, but it becomes something we can work with, something we can use as fuel to push ourselves forward. Anxiety becomes a guide, a signal that we're on the verge of something important. And that's where the real growth happens. It's in those moments of uncertainty, when we feel anxious but move forward anyway, that we truly start to shape our lives. The temptation of conformity. One of the biggest traps we can fall into is conformity. Society has a way of telling us what we should do, how we should live, and what success looks like. We're bombarded with expectations: get a stable job, settle down, follow the normal path. But Kierkegaard warned us about the dangers of blindly conforming to these societal norms. When we conform without questioning, we lose touch with our authentic selves. We start living for others rather than for ourselves, and that's where the real emptiness sets in. Think of it like wearing shoes that don't fit. They might look fine on the outside, but inside, they're uncomfortable, and over time, they'll start to hurt. That's what happens when we try to fit ourselves into society's expectations. We might look successful by external standards, but inside, we're out of alignment with who we really are. Kierkegaard believed that true fulfillment comes from resisting conformity. It's about staying true to ourselves, even when it means going against the grain. Sure, it's easier to go with the flow, but living authentically? That takes courage. Escapism and distractions. In today's world, it's easier than ever to distract ourselves from anxiety. With the constant flow of social media, entertainment, and technology, we can easily escape into a world of distractions. But while these distractions might give us temporary relief from anxiety, they ultimately hold us back from addressing the deeper issues. Kierkegaard saw this as a huge obstacle to personal growth. He believed that when we escape into distractions, whether it's through mindless scrolling, binge watching, or overworking, we're avoiding the real work of self-discovery. It's like trying to fix a leaky roof by covering it with a tarp. Sure, it might stop the water for a while, but the leak is still there. Eventually, the problem will resurface, and you'll have to deal with it. That's how it is with anxiety. We can distract ourselves for a while, but eventually we have to confront it if we want to grow. Kierkegaard encouraged us to stop running from our anxieties and face them head on. Only by doing so can we begin the process of self-realization and personal growth. The power of introspection. If we want to grow, if we want to truly understand ourselves, we have to spend time in introspection. Kierkegaard believed that introspection, taking the time to reflect on our thoughts, feelings, and motivations, was essential for personal development. It's not enough to just go through the motions of life. We need to dig deep and ask ourselves the tough questions. What do I really want? What am I afraid of? What's holding me back? Imagine your mind is like a garden. If you never take the time to tend to it, weeds will grow, and the plants you want to flourish will wither. But if you take the time to care for it, to pull out the weeds, water the flowers, and give them sunlight, you'll create a beautiful, thriving space. That's what introspection does for the mind. It helps us clear out the clutter, the fears, and the distractions so we can focus on what truly matters. And when we do that, we gain clarity about who we are and what we want out of life. At the end of the day, anxiety is an unavoidable part of life. It's there because life itself is unpredictable, and that unpredictability can be terrifying. But it can also be a source of immense personal growth and freedom. When we embrace our anxiety, when we use it as a tool for self-reflection and action, we open ourselves up to a more authentic and fulfilling life. Kierkegaard's philosophy reminds us that there's never going to be a perfect moment. There's no right time to take a leap of faith. Life is messy, uncertain, and full of anxiety, but that's what makes it beautiful. It's up to us to make the most of it, to face our anxieties, and to live our lives guided by what holds personal meaning and purpose. So, next time you feel that familiar pang of anxiety, don't shy away from it. Embrace it. Let it be the driving force that pushes you toward the life you've always wanted to live. Because in the end, it's through facing our anxiety that we find the freedom to grow, to live, and to become our truest selves.